Hello and welcome to the Toycat podcast. This is a series we do every single January. Okay, we missed January this year and it's in February because all of my January plans have been moved to February, and so too has the apparently yearly Toycat podcast. I didn't realize how bad that sounded till I said it, but this is going to be a slightly different one because it has video too. That's right, if you're listening audio only, as you're meant to a podcast, you're missing out on, wow, look, green screen effects, they're so exciting. We're going to have images showing up on screens sometimes, maybe, who even knows, and we're going to do the classic every year thing of the top 5 food related list, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 best vegetables in my opinion, and this is going to be a spicy one, right? Because here's the deal, I genuinely did not believe people like vegetables, and even right now, I think most people who think they like vegetables are probably a little bit wrong about that. This is a spicy one to start the show with, don't get me wrong. Ooh, can I call it a show? Ooh, la-di-da, look how fancy we are over here. But no, I wanted to start with just the concept of people thinking they like things is something I always have some caution of. And I know your response to that is, what do you mean people don't know what they like? Obviously that sounds ridiculous. I know that I prefer, for instance, being alive to probably the opposite. I mean, actually, I've never been dead. So, I mean, before you were born, were you dead or not is a fun philosophical question I think we could argue, but I'm pretty sure I prefer being alive to not. I haven't tried both, but from the best of my experience I can say that. But I think when people say they like vegetables, my immediate response has to be, well, do you really like vegetables, or are you just... is it like, yeah, well, it's one of the things I have to eat, and there are some versions of it I prefer to others. That's where I'm at with vegetables. If you are to offer me, randomly out of nowhere, a food, nowhere in my top 10 list is, yeah, I want some vegetable. Or if you're offering me vegetable, I'm going to coat it in the most unhealthy things in the world to remove all the essence of vegetable from it. I'm deep frying that vegetable and then covering it in cheese and oil. And long story short here, I think that vegetables are an example of something that people think they like, but not really, and sounds ridiculous. But hear me out, do you really like video games, or do you like the productive, engaging escape they provide from day-to-day life? Life is a lot of hassle, and isn't it cool to go into a place where you can live either a power fantasy or, where you can, get your engagement going and you can focus on something big, by the way, in the background, I want to point out, we're playing Minecraft today, Every single time I do one of these videos where I impose my face cam on, people are like, wait, Toycat, so how are you playing the game if your hands are up here? Wow, look at this. Obviously, I think one of the magic things about YouTube is that you can kind of believe it's like a one-to-one, like this is happening live right now, and this audio, of course this video is happening live in one continuous cut, and this audio therefore is the same. It's like a conversation, except obviously the background gameplay, if you're watching as a video, of course we added that after. Of course, the image of carrots that are appearing right there, that's not a random image, that had to be edited in. It's embarrassing if I made this myself, because there's no way I'm editing carrots on screen now. Speaking of things I'm not going to do, I think that I'm never going to really understand if people know what they like, or if they just have a vague idea. I mean, do you like a particular person, or do you like the way that particular person makes you feel, I mean, in reality, it's a weird mashup, and so I don't trust what people say when they think they like those things, and so the top 5 vegetables will be fun, but first, I wanted to talk about the much more important thing. I somehow am hyping up a top 5 vegetable list, because in the background, I also wanted to point out, we're playing, I'm working on a brand new project that I haven't spoken about yet. It's actually, something I like to do is I usually share my projects as I'm working on them, but one of my big principles in life is I try not to overpromise, because when you overpromise and when you underdeliver, it hurts a lot more than when you underpromise and you overdeliver. So I'm working on a project, who knows if it gets finished, who knows if it gets done. I think that people will really like it when it's done. You might have your suspicions of what it is as you watch this video even, but it's one of those just things where every single, week, especially a week like this one, we'll get into it, every single week, I like trying to build some things and work towards a project in Minecraft, and so yeah, this one in the background's a lot of fun, and this video is sponsored, by the way, by Toycat's Let's Play World. That's right, if you go on the marketplace right now, for just some number of mine coins, you can buy the Let's Play world, and a percentage of that goes directly towards this channel. We are doing a 1.18 update version as soon as we are allowed, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it will feature the finished version, or the version we end up giving up on, of this thing that you're seeing delightfully in the background, and so is that not an enticing enough reason? But if you buy the map now, you can enjoy the current version as well as the future version. So 2 versions for the price of 1. Don't you want that? Yes, you do. And so before we talk about any Minecraft things, can we talk about Minecraft on a podcast that is ostensibly on a Minecraft channel? I guess we have to. So, do you like Minecraft? Yeah, me too, huh? Me too. This, all of my January plans being shifted to February is a bit of a weird one to say, because it feels so weird to have plans that are a month long in length. It feels so strange to just say, oh yeah, I had an idea of what I was doing in the month of January, and the entire month got moved. But so, some of that was like, okay, we had to delay planning it. There were lots of governmental restrictions, but also very last minute, literally, getting an email from the government about what we could do in the future, which is kind of a weird thing. It's been a weird while, honestly. To try and explain my situation has been kind of crazy. Like, dealing with the kind of last minute nature was already kind of stressful, and then at the last minute, as about to go, like, everything had to be moved forward at least a week, and it was it's just weird to me to feel like a whole month is wasted. Like, it feels bad enough. I'm looking into the wrong camera. I got a second camera angle for this one, so I can be like, okay, this is the camera angle for when I'm being real. You're above me as the viewer right now. I have to look up to you. You're a tall viewer, you are. And then we go back to normal and whatever height you want to imagine I am. Or am I very short because I'm not going tall enough? Look at all this extra space up here. Could really be fitting into that. Anyway, so January has been a little bit of a crazy month, is what I'm saying. And the idea of losing a whole month is stressful because everyone loses a day all the time. If you've never lost a day and you haven't been as productive as you wanted to be, I don't believe you that that's true. I think this is a thing that happens all the time. Losing like most of a week is depressing. Like a weekend, feeling like, oh, I had 3 days off and now they're gone and it's, I didn't do what I wanted to do. That sucks. But I don't think I've ever just been like, yeah, that whole month that I specifically set aside to enjoy and not stress about YouTube and views and all these things, because of course, like ad revenue is bad, the viewership, there's nothing exciting for people in January, so it's much harder to justify spending all this time on videos, which I just did anyway, although that's partially because of the help of editors making great things possible, like me showing you a plate of chips. all of my image ideas are food. Here is a Dutch windmill. Or here's not a Dutch windmill. Who knows who's editing this? Anyway, so the point I'm trying to raise with this video is that losing a month's plan sucks, but I think, like with everything in life, there's 2 ways you can view everything. You can always view things with a positive lens, and that is, sometimes that is toxic positivity. Sometimes that is dumb positivity, because you'll sometimes see people, and they'll be reacting in just the worst possible way to a thing, where you go, no, that doesn't make any sense. You can't react positively to hearing that your children have cancer or whatever the dark thing is. But I actually sometimes think that trying to attack everything with a positive lens first is the better way to go about things. Because I think if you want to be right more of the time, if you like being smart, and I love being smart, I love learning things and being like, ooh, here's this piece of knowledge I have. Don't get me wrong, I'm as much as the next person. But if you like being smart, the easiest way to seem slightly smarter is to have a pessimistic worldview, because most good things that are promised probably don't happen. That plan you have, or that plan your parents have of like, oh, we're gonna go on holiday one day, we're gonna win the lottery, and we're gonna do this one day. Anything that ends with the phrase one day is basically guaranteed not to happen, and the majority of plans are one day. Even just, it's depressing that even like people say stuff like, yeah, we'll catch up soon. No, you're not going to catch up soon. If you want to be right and you want to be like more knowledgeable about things, of course being pessimistic is the way to get there. But I think the way to be happier is to be optimistic. And this is an interesting struggle I think that the world has more often than not, is would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? Would you rather know more things, improve your breadth of knowledge, or would you rather just enjoy things? And it's so hard because anyone who thinks of the human experience as this objective thing, like, yeah, you are a human, you live for X number of years, maybe just X number of years if you're one of those children who gets cancer, which sucks by itself, doesn't it? That you have to think about like, oh yeah, humans are all equal and fair, except, oh yeah, some people die before they even become real humans. Because I've said this before, you're not a real human before age 12. And so, like, given that, like, life is unfair, and given that, like, even your most base assumptions are true, and, like, terrible things are happening all the time, wouldn't you like to just enjoy life sometimes? Wouldn't it be cool to just say, yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy what's happening here. I'm just gonna feel good, because ultimately you're never gonna make this huge impact with just learning a new thing. You know, like being pessimistic about meeting your friends anytime too soon, being like, oh yeah, but there's gonna be a new variant, and the epsilon variant or whatever we're gonna call it. It's really easy to be pessimistic, and you might be right more often, but wouldn't you rather be positive than right? Also, if you heard my phone vibrate, my food has arrived. Whenever I record a video that I know is going to be long, I order some food, so that way I've got, like, something to look forward to at the end, and that means 10 minutes and 30 seconds after I ordered Poke, it has arrived at my house. That has to be, like, a record. Anyway, speaking of records, I just think that, for the record, it's really, really hard to know what is more valuable of those two things. Because objectively, of course, you'd say, just be happy. Like, you're never gonna, like that's the easiest thing to do. You can be happy and you can do great things. But then there's the part of you that's like, but you wanna know, You wanna, I guess that's, maybe that's even the origin of the basic biblical story, right? Of like, you're in this magical garden where you can do anything you want and life is amazing all of the time. You have one instruction: don't eat the apple, right? Is it a golden apple? In my head, it's a golden apple, so, Minecraft Bible stories if not. And it's like, why can't I eat the golden apple? Maybe there's more goodness in the golden apple. Humans have this curiosity, and don't get me wrong, curiosity kills the cat, which is very bad when your avatar is an ocelot, don't get me wrong. But just this infinite struggle between, do you want the knowledge? Is your curiosity high enough? And maybe not, is just one that I fall into a lot. I also feel like another struggle that we sometimes have is this idea of trying to work out, trying to work out what it is exactly that is enjoyable about a thing. I think that, in life, for instance, people are like, yeah, music makes me happy. Is that actually a valid statement? Is it the concept of music that makes you happy, or is it specific music that makes you happy? Can I say that I enjoy Minecraft, or is it fairer to say that I like specific things about Minecraft? I love survival building, like you're seeing right now, I hope. Which are the what is the correct way to look at that as a situation? To look up for 1 second. See, look at this. Quickly, this video is sponsored by Toykat's Let's Play World. Go to the marketplace right now, and I need to get better sponsors where I get paid a higher percent of the sale. Go to this video is sponsored by Andrew Andrews. Do you want to see Toycat eating some McDonald's from a foreign country, hopefully from Canada and whatever other country? I want to go to a new country this year. It has been too long since I visited a new country. I think August of 2019 was the last time. 2020, I guess it'd be. It's been too long. I need to see some new McDonald's, damn it. So today I'm going to be doing some show and tell as well. I'm going to be using the visual format to do something fun. But first, I think I wanted to discuss this, because I ordered some food. I mentioned it's actually some healthy food. I think there's this very weird thing with this disconnect between sometimes what you want to do and what you end up doing. And I think one of the best examples is like every day we make mistakes, and sometimes we lean into those mistakes and we make them the good things. So my life was like temporarily thrown off course by some weird tests for things went weirdly for me, and so I have to self-isolate, legally speaking. Had to self-isolate, legally speaking, as of this video going live, just to clarify. And so one of the interesting quirks of that, because it's so quirky, it's so quirky being friend with a £1,000 fine if I don't stay inside at all times. But like it's just so quirky, I don't know about you. I'm being pretty quirky right now. But sometimes, like that threw everything. Of course, it meant that my exercise that I was getting into kind of had to be thrown off. I was doing really good in 2022 so far. I'd been eating well, but good luck eating well on. And so instead, I just threw everything, of course, and I started to revel in the wreck of I I order 2 meals a day now. I had sushi for breakfast today. And I got some poke for lunch, actually. So I guess fish and rice is the theme of the day. But like sometimes it's just, which is actually a pretty healthy day. I'm proud of me for today. But for the past few days, it's just been like, well, what are you going to do? Sometimes we have this like weird characteristic in us where we know what we need to do, but we love having something that we can blame for not doing that thing correctly. I think, I don't know, what's an example of like this very podcast, this very show that you are watching, if there isn't an image of, if there isn't an image of me with a witch right now on screen, that's my fault. That's because I didn't edit this video, and I'm gonna blame that. I'm like, well, I wanted to have a no. It's just I should have done more work on this, but instead I started working on something else. Or after this video is done, I forget about it entirely and I work on. And instead of like actually editing this together, I start to do something else instead, which seems very silly, right? Anyway, so something I want to talk about, because I am technically a creative. I'm in the creative industries. Is my something that I don't think a lot of people know about me, and something I don't think a lot of people know about a lot of people in the creative world, because I know this is not an uncommon thing, is my ability. I love to make things like this. I really enjoy. I would not have ever described myself as a creative person prior to doing YouTube. There's something specific about the technical. It's like a business challenge mixed with a technical challenge. So there's a lot of elements to what makes YouTube so exciting. But at least I guess creative and exciting, I would say. But one of the things about it that a lot of people don't realize is that when you work on something, eventually you have to say that thing is done. And to me, it is so hard to do anything once I've hit the done button. Once I've hit the goodbye part of a video, everything past that point I hate. I just want people to experience this thing that I've done, whether that's having a set of controversial opinions, whether that's building some things in Minecraft, whether that is, in the case of this thing, talking for a long time. I love the idea of just, let's get out into the world. I want this authentic experience. I really do want the closest thing we can have to, like, here's an interesting social interaction on the internet. Obviously, it's parasocial. I don't know you, even if you know me. My name is Andrew. I like sushi rice, apparently, based on my food today. That clearly I like fish. Or do I like fish? Do I think I just like fish because it's like, like healthy meat, basically? It's like, like fish. Fish is the weirdest, like, category of food. Because I feel like every other food you can really be on board with. You can love, you can love meats. You can love breads. You can even love vegetables if you're weird and / or vegan. Like, there's all sorts of things you can love. Actually, fruit. Fruit I do like. Dessert I love. There's all these categories. They're wonderful. But with fish, it's like, yeah, it's good. Is it the greatest thing ever? Like, there are very few fish things in my life where it's like, yeah, just by itself it's great. No, fish is one of those, like, combination foods. You need it in addition to something else. It's like vegetables. I really love asparagus, but asparagus only works on the side of other things. Same with peas, by the way. I love peas as a... are we quitting my creative talk about how it's so hard to work on something? You have this, like, horror about it, and then, like, also it feels sometimes weird to throw it off to someone else. It took me so long to find an editor on YouTube, like someone I could trust to take these raw footage things and turn it into something. It's so hard to find anyone to trust. For me in general, I think I have trust problems as a whole, because eventually people do betray your trust, and for most people I think it's just, I don't know how most people deal with that, but for most people it's par for the course. They're like, yeah, you trust someone, they say they're going to do a thing, and then they just don't, and then everything's just okay. But for me, that's like, you should have, this sucks. Like, I am now significantly hurt by my investment in you, and why'd you do that, man? It's hard. It's hard to find people you can trust. It's hard to find strangers on the internet you can trust, and yet here I am. I haven't even murdered you yet, but you invited me into your house, and yet I did not murder you. Think about that the next time I insult your favorite vegetable, because like I said, top 5 vegetables, it's happening. We're here. It's exciting. This came up recently because I mentioned so often on live streams. By the way, this video is sponsored by live streams. Just kidding. It's sponsored by the Andrew Andrews channel. Do you want to watch me eat McDonald's? That is the... It's hard to get a new YouTube channel now, hard to get a new one monetized, which is real hard. So, you know, given that that's my third and apparently the last channel I'll probably have monetized for a while, go subscribe to it. Sometimes finance videos, sometimes it's me walking with a GoPro on my chest, maybe a skiing video too, and then McDonald's. It's the best sales pitch for a channel ever. Anyway, top 5 vegetables. Let's go. Ooh, top 5 vegetables. Yeah, that's fun. You like that text on the screen that might not exist? So, I wanted to talk about this because everyone claims to like vegetables. But yeah, you know, I think they're real fake vegetable fans. So, here's my top 5. I'm going to be really kind of, you know, okay, here's a debate. Do you like something if that has to be in a specific way for you to like it? I love, for instance, asparagus, but only if you fry it, you cover it in oil, you salt, pepper. You know, like, do I like asparagus, or do I like salt, pepper, and oil? And asparagus is a great vehicle for it. If you're the sort of person who eats fries, but you have to dip every single fry, do you like fries, or do you just like ketchup, and fries are a great way to deliver it? And I'll admit, oh, I want fries now. Why did I order poke? Why am I eating fish, rice, and avocados when I could be eating fries? I could get like dipped to my mouth, but also I like fries by themselves. I like them covered in salt. Or do I not like fries because I need them covered in salt? You know, there's this funny like purist gatekeeping mentality. Do you like Minecraft if you play it in creative mode only? Do you like Minecraft if you play on a phone? Well, you know, people have these elitist like sub-categorizations of things, and I guess that I always want to be clear that like when I say, do you know if you like a thing, I'm not saying it in the elitist gatekeeping way, which is important for, you know, like which is, you know, like gatekeeping is a thing that exists and it's kind of tragic. I'm saying it more in the philosophical sense of like, do you know yourself? How well can you ever truly know yourself? Because I think that even though we like to believe we're fully in control, sometimes you're like a passenger in your own body. This is like a horrifying experience, and maybe no one can relate. But think about when you get mad about something, do you want to be mad? Or are you just mad, and now being mad is sustaining itself in a way? You know, you ever have a big fight with someone, and you're like, I didn't want to fight with you. How did this just happen? I've been thinking all the time about just like your subconscious mind. You know, like, there's like 3 levels of the mind. This is like pretty common psychological theory. There's 3 levels of the mind. There's like the you that directly interacts with the world. There's the you that has like emotions on top of that. I feel good when I put the fry in my mouth with the ketchup. Or personally, my favorite fry sauce is mayo. I think that's Americans call that like a European thing. But like, man, try it if you haven't. Dunk it in the mayo, or get some fried sauce if you want to go actual European, because in the UK we call mainland Europe, as opposed to us being a part of Europe. Anyway, so were we doing the top 5? I think we were. We had a whole text card and everything. But I just think that sometimes knowing yourself is hard. Sometimes you know, like there's 3 layers of you. There's the layer that feels the emotions, and then there's the you that has the internal voice. Apparently not everyone has an internal voice, where right now, as I'm saying these words, they're like coming to my brain a split second before I say them, and that way I can alter them at the last minute, and that way I can shift the, you know, like I'm guiding my subconscious brain that's doing the speaking, like interacting with the body, which is going through those emotions, which is going through the, like, I feel like there's a sandwich of how my brain exists. Maybe that's just me, maybe it's not. But the weirdest bit about it is like, yeah, that top level brain feels like it's in control. Like right now, I can make this body here talk about apples. Look, apples are so good, you eat them, and then there's seeds and whatnot. But if I talk about something like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make myself talk about, I know one of the saddest times of my life. I got ghosted, and like I just didn't accept it, and so and like eventually after like 6 months of being with someone, but them not having sent me a message, but me being a dumb idiot, I flew back and I had to get on a train. Like it was like I didn't sleep for like some ungodly number of hours, and I just remember like getting the thing done, her being like, oh yeah, I don't know what to say, probably should have said something before, and then just like 6 months of emotions coming out and crying in public even because I had to catch the train home and just sleep. And like, you know what? I'm trying to say this with a straight face, but like the emotional connection in between the physical medium and the the brain that's happening right there is like, yeah, that's sad. Why'd you do that to yourself? Why'd you know, maybe even and then there's the deeper psychology of like, why would you make yourself do something sad? And yet we all do it all the time. You know how bad you feel after eating that delicious plate of fries, but yet you do it anyway. But you know, as an alternative to fries, maybe you like my 5th favorite vegetable, cauliflower. So the cauliflower, it's a really interesting vegetable, and I hated it so much as a child. I think this is a life pro tip, by the way. If you are if you're moving out, or you're turning 18, or maybe a combination of the two, as is often the case, and you hate foods, try them again. There's 2 reasons why you should try foods again. One is that your taste buds change. Your bitter receptors get weaker. This is why old people like beer, because they just don't taste the bitter anymore. Which, side note, is a terrible reason to like beer. Beer is terrible, but my points aside, I think that so like obviously like when it comes to foods, you might just have had your parents try it terribly. And yeah, I had boiled cauliflower, and it was like, ugh, it's white, it's a lame vegetable, didn't like it. Then I had, when I was like 13, my aunt made like cauliflower and cheese. I don't know what else was going on there, but like, ooh, this is like an okay vegetable now. But what the game-changing thing is nowadays, as I was talking about, a good side for your meal is not buffalo cauliflower, although buffalo cauliflower is good too, cauliflower wings. What they do, because obviously we need to have vegan alternatives to food. I mean, we don't need to, but a lot of places try to have vegan alternatives. Sometimes because they want to cater to, you know, the 3% of the market that only can eat vegan food. And sometimes because it's cheaper to, you know, it's way cheaper to grow a cauliflower than it is to raise a cow and then slaughter it and then do all the preparation because you got to remove the organs and whatever else. And then, you know, like turning in stuff. And you can charge more for vegan food because people think vegan means healthy. And one of the ways I'm guilty of paying this like tax on vegetables is cauliflower wings. You dunk it in some batter. You dunk it in, you know, sometimes they go through more effort, sometimes through less. But then you put the sauce that you put on wings and like, oh, yeah, it tastes so good. When they do it just right, it doesn't even taste like cauliflower. It just tastes like sauce and batter. And do I like a vegetable if I only like the sauce and the batter that comes around it? I think so, because they never do fried potato in the same way. I wonder why fried potato doesn't work. I'd love to be like a culinary chef who could understand like the taste profiles that make all these things possible. I don't know, and so cauliflower is my 5th favorite vegetable because, yeah, I just think it's like a good sauce receptacle. And I was just hating on people who ate fries for that reason. But you know what? See, we're all hypocrites in our own way. See, right now I'm feeling a little mixture of like embarrassment, like, oh yeah, you know, I've just had this, you know, it's my 5th favorite vegetable. And I was, you know, I've had these conflicting opinions that, like, people who eat fries and just cover it in sauce, you're doing fries wrong, even though fries and mayo is pretty good. I feel like I like having a sauce, but, like, as an occasional little, ooh, yeah, that's good. But let's go back to the regular fries. So I have this conflict in my view that, like, oh, yes, that's weird, but also I do the equivalent with another vegetable. And so I'm feeling hypocritical, which is making me feel like, man, if I have the opposite opinions now, where else can I have those opposite opinions? So the 4th best vegetable, in my opinion, is avocado. And I'm sorry for this one. I don't even know if avocado is a vegetable. I hate people who are really insistent on like defining fruit versus vegetable. You can be a fruit and a vegetable at the same time, because fruit is a culinary term, vegetable is a horticultural term. There is overlap. Just like how you can be both a bird and a person named... But just like how you can be, I don't know, a woman and a milkman. Yeah, there we go. See, milkman implies you can't be a woman, but you can be a woman and a milkman. Unless they're called milk women. You know what? Is there milk women? I'm worried about what's going to show up when I search that. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the best vegetable, the 4th best one, avocado. Do you know what I love more than avocado? A few things, honestly. But yeah, avocado is a good vegetable, and the reason I'm down with it, I hate that, like, it's become so popular and trendy and expensive, and avocado toast costs all the money in the world, but it does taste pretty good. But the thing I love about avocado is it's so fatty, it's green, it's like, fat is a vehicle for flavor. Like, people say fat like it's, like, gonna make you fat. No, your body doesn't take fat from food and then pack on the pounds to you. It burns it, and if you're not doing enough exercise to burn it, then it does eventually transfer into some fat inside of you. But there's not like a pile of avocados sitting under this Las Vegas, Nevada shirt? I don't think so, at least. And, unless there is, let me check. If there was, I would eat them because they're my fourth favorite vegetable. I think they go great with perhaps a bowl of poke. I think they can go great in sushi. Wait, I don't know why I'm counting on different hands now. I think another great use for avocado is just on the side of a plate, on some toast. Any situation where you got vegetables probably can be improved by throwing on an avocado. And there we go. That's 5 uses for avocado. This is how people count to 5, I'm pretty sure. It feels very strange. So the third best vegetable has to be the onion. I did not like cooking for myself because, like, buying vegetables is so lame. Going to the store and giving them money for something that doesn't taste good just because it's nutritionally balanced. I never liked it when I started cooking myself. But the reason the onion is coming up number 3 on the list is because it is so amazing for cooking. You dice it, amazing. You slice it, amazing. You leave it in its shape and turn it into rings, amazing. Onions, honestly, are the backbone of every single food I think I've ever cooked and, like, made without a recipe. Because you throw onion into something and it's improved. Got a curry? Throw an onion in there. You got a soup? Throw an onion in there. I love onions so much. Because again, like especially the way you cook them, it's enjoyable. They soak up flavor in a good way. I guess this is what I'm saying. Vegetables are good for flavor soaking, but yet still being low calorie. You know, because with the fry, you know you're eating fried and da-da-da-da. But with an onion, you know things are good. Potato is number 2 on my list anyway, though, because potato is such a versatile vegetable. I hate looking at potatoes. This is honestly okay. This is a sign that I'm like, maybe I'm out of touch, but like only in the sense, like obviously not in the sense that I'm wildly wealthy. Though don't get me wrong, as a Minecraft, I'm in the Minecraft YouTube biz, so you better believe I'm rich enough to buy bottled water and then refill the bottled water, and then the label comes off, but I'm still drinking from it. This is the beverage rich people drink. It's poor people who buy, I don't know, wine. Anyway, speaking of things that poor people buy, potatoes. So, I have this weird, like, phobia almost of looking at, like, looking at meat, honestly. I think you can understand. You're looking at a dead animal that's cut up and we pretend it's not a dead animal. It's weird. But looking at potatoes, I'm just like, I don't know why. It just isn't a pretty looking vegetable. I think looking at most raw foods, I want to see it more processed, you know? I want to see, we say processed like it's a bad thing, but like, no. Wouldn't you like this video to be processed, you know, in 1080p with the face cam on the gameplay rather than, you know, like the processing required to turn my green screen into a, you can see behind me right now. I can't see behind me. This is a green screen. I can physically touch it. But how am I touching Minecraft? I'm not touching Minecraft. It's editing, which is processing. Processed food is good too, because get this, rather than having a potato, I should have brought potato for show and tell, I would rather have a plate of fries, or mashed potato. You can, the best bit about mashed potato, you can go 2 ways. You can go peppery and like kind of firm, or you go so creamy, buttery, smooth, that it's basically a soup. Potatoes can be fries, they can be soup. Roast potatoes, I believe this is a British, I don't think it's a big outside the UK, I should say. If I say anything's British, people will be like, oh, you say that fish and chips is British, but my local store has it. Ha ha ha, Toycat, you idiot. Anyway, speaking of things that I'm an idiot about, I looked up, because I wanted to see you, to let you know that this video is sponsored by potatoes. Do you want to get yourself some potatoes? Don't buy those nasty whole ones from the store. Buy processed potatoes, just like you can find on the Toycat Let's Play Marketplace world. That's right, available for 660 mine coins, and you get unlimited free updates for the rest of time. Speaking of things you'll get for the rest of time, what is the best vegetable in the world? I'm gonna go eat my food. It's been like 25 minutes. I'd say it's getting cold, but I think it's already cold. But like, you know, I'll get like soggy or something like that. So I'll be back with the best vegetable right after this little intermission. My food was pretty good. It was cold. It was like I was expecting. It was healthy. There was fish, vegetables, all the stuff. But I ordered half sushi rice, half vegetables, and they gave full vegetables. So instead of feeling like a meal, it felt like a salad bowl, which is great, but it's not perfect when you're hungry. And so what I did was the logical thing that people do when they're in my situation. And I figured, well, now I have to order from somewhere else and get that, that like bready thing filled. So I got some bread, some fries, and some dessert, and there was nothing I could have done about it. It was out of my hands. Having that like external factor to blame is kind of beautiful, right? Knowing that like it's my fault, but like not actually my fault, is a beautiful thing, and is the reason the pessimistic worldview is the one that is perfect for you. Find out more by speaking to your local doctor. Speaking of things you speak to your local doctor about, the best vegetable in the entire world. What could it possibly be? And this is a controversial one, but I really do think that this is, again, because in America you call it the eggplant, in the UK we call it the aubergine. It looks a bit like, I believe it's the emoji you use to represent inappropriate things when you can't be inappropriate. But the reason I like the aubergine so much, the eggplant for some of you, is because of the fact that there are some ways to cook an aubergine that are so next level. Let me if you something you can actually try is yo sushi. It's not sushi in the slightest, but they like fry it with some soy sauce, and it's so good. But outside of that, my grandmother, she's Sri Lankan. I always have to mention this. Like, yeah, I really am genuinely Asian. I come from that island. I mean, like a quarter Asian. Like anything below that, and I'd have to be like, yeah, not really. You know how Americans are like, yeah, my great grandfather came from Ireland, so I understand what it's like to be Irish too, folks. It's my favorite thing in the world. Like, it's called plastic patties. I love the abundance of people who claim like they're basically a thing, because you need to be exotic. When everyone around you is just American in some way, you got to be something else. I understand that. But I guess I'm actually the opposite. No, I don't understand that. Like, I was like proud of being British. Maybe like all the other people who are second or third generation love their heritage in school, and it's like, shut up. I don't care if you're from Portugal. I don't care that your dad's Italian and like, oh yeah, we're so Italian, we do this all the time. It's like, I don't care. No, we should be, like, our bond is that we're all here right now. Where you came from before you were here doesn't matter as much as what you do when you're here. Like being proud of that stuff. It feels like it genuinely is a Harry Potter plotline. Let's ignore Harry Potter for it's a Harry Potter plotline that like, yeah, these people care more about the circumstances of your birth than the content of your character. The pure bloods and the whole people around that. And it's like, yeah, they are wizard racists, and that's bad. But people in the real world are like, hey, but I'm so proud to be from there. It's like, no, you don't get to be proud of being from anywhere unless you're from aubergine land. So the reason I'm happy my grandma is from Sri Lanka, I wouldn't say particularly proud, just like, yeah, it's cool, is because of the fact that the way, there's this dish that I can't find what it's even called, but it uses aubergine in a way that's just so good. There's mustard. I asked for the recipe once. There's mustard involved somehow. You know what, Harrison? I'll search Sri Lankan aubergine. I'm gonna see if I can find it right now. Put the first Google image result on there, and okay, this is not the second Google image result. It looks actually pretty close. It's like a curry, but made specifically from aubergines. Every time I try it somewhere else, it doesn't taste as nearly as good. This is everyone has this, right? Like food cooked at home tastes so good because they mastered that recipe over 40 years. And what I'm saying with this video is that even though, objectively speaking, the aubergine can't be the best vegetable, it can't really be my favorite vegetable, right? No one likes the aubergine the most. However, I mean, it's like the way that your childhood, it's hard to admit this, but the way that your childhood affects your brain is pretty big. The way your past experiences affect the way you deal with future ones is such a big thing that we just kind of forget about, that we just kind of plan. I'm just checking on my food, by the way. Gonna be here in 20 to 40 minutes. Guess how long the podcast will be going on for. But, like your past experiences really do drive your future in a way that we don't like to admit. And of course, we don't like to admit it because it feels like taking free will out of our hands. But I would hate the aubergine if my first experience was like someone who chopped it into cubes and then just, I don't know, boiled, or you even just, if you saute them lightly or you oven cook them. No, there's so many bad ways to cook an aubergine. The best vegetable, if you're just going for the perspective of, it is good in every way you cook it, is the potato or the onion, right? Like, there's a real mix there of like, is something good if it's good sometimes, or is something good if it's good always? We actually all do view this question differently. I mean, do you ever see the stereotype of the woman who's with the boyfriend that beats her all the time, and you're like, how does that work? And like, from the outside, you just think, wow, I mean, on the one hand, it's tragic, but on the other hand, you gotta be kind of dumb. But no, that is a special type of intense love of like, man, it turns on and off sometimes, and that makes it more valuable. Humans do kind of value this, like, you know, like, we like the idea of unconditional always, all the time as like an idea, but in reality, we find things more interesting when they're very variable, you know? Like, there's something to be said for McDonald's is great, and I like it a lot, but you wouldn't eat McDonald's every single meal of every single day. Sometimes you want to try something new. Might be better, might be worse. I mean, right now I'm craving fries so bad. They're my desktop background in case you're curious. It's a problem. I'm craving fries real bad, and you know, and that's because fries were there for me in my childhood. You know, my father, you know, accidentally saying a real thing. You know, my father wasn't there for me growing up, and so a lot of things that I should have experienced, like learning how to shave, or you know, like having that like counterbalance of like, you know, like two people, you know, that was never there for me. But you know what was there for me? Fries. And see, I'm using this real example, but secretly a part of me is like, ooh, should I have shared that? Was that good to share with the internet? Or like, you know, I had a friend who I thought was like a close friend, who was like loyal to me, and you know, then one of the worst things in my life happened, and they shared it with some people. This super private, incredibly terrible thing that like was especially bad if shared, and that was clearly something I would not want to have out there. And it's like, oh yeah, that hurts the trust that I had in them that I obviously cannot have anymore, right? There's a thing in there. And so you know, can I not trust people because people do things like that? Or because people do things like that, I find it harder to trust in the future. It's harder to really boil down which of those is the truth. I think this is the chicken egg problem, but we have it all the times in our own minds. Do you like something because of your past experiences with the thing? Or do your past experiences with the thing kind of like lead you in a certain direction? I can tell you that one of my favorite games, I love so many dumb games actually that like aren't critically well acclaimed at all. But like I love Demolition Racing. It's called. It's way less popular than a game called Demolition Derby. Whenever you search up Demolition Racer, YouTube is like, "Are you sure you don't want Demolition Derby?" But there's this PS1 game I loved because it was one. So in fact, same with there's a game called Ford Racing. Ford made a racing game where every car was a Ford car. I don't know why. It was such a bad game. But I played it around my stepdad's at one point, or my mother's boyfriend during my childhood at one point. And it was like, oh, you like that? That's cool. And then he got it for me for my birthday, and then I played the entire thing all the way through. It's obviously a terrible game, but like these memories around things in your life, you know, see, tying it all together, tying in Toycat's tumultuous childhood, lots of father figures makes you question, you know, can you really commit to anything with that? But you know, when you tie all these things together, you start to realize that like, yeah, you almost. I've always felt like Google ratings can never be a perfect fit for how good somewhere is. I wish that, you know, something I've always struggled with is how do you find the best food? Right now, I am hungry. I want a burger. I'm in London, one of the big food cities of the world. How do I find the best burger? And so, okay, there's a few ways. We could go for Google, and they've got a rating system. When you go somewhere, rate it 1 to 5 stars, and it's great. But whenever I do that, I find places that make me question, like, well, that can't really be correct, can it? Like, as an example, like, you know, I'll read reviews that are just like, yeah, the atmosphere in here was terrible. And it's like, well, that's a very subjective thing, and it's not really related to the food. Or like, the decor here was awful. They had, you know, so one of them said, like, the food made me, you know, I'll share the tweet with you. The food here tasted so bad I thought I had COVID, something the designer must have been suffering from as well. And I was like, slay the restaurant, I guess. But like, yeah, there's so many things that will affect your experience. One of the tastiest burgers of my life is I went on a date, and the date didn't go very well, but like we were in a different city, so I was kind of obligated to get the girl back to her city, basically. And it was like I don't know, I don't remember even why. She seemed really badly like she didn't want to be there. And just halfway through I was like, oh, now I can stop caring what she thinks, which is honestly probably like a valuable lesson to have before that. But I was like, yeah, just on the way home, we're just going to stop at this place. I'm going to get myself a blue cheeseburger. And I had the smelliest burger but like it was so. I remember like I love blue cheese in a burger. It was like I'd had one like a year ago, and it hit the spot just right. And I was like, you know what? I'm having a blue cheeseburger, and on the train home, we don't need to have a conversation because I'm done. It's over. We're out of here. There was this beauty. There was this this certain feeling of like, man, it's, you know, like she's gone through every effort to burn this bridge. Actually, rather than keeping the bridge held up, I'm letting it burn. And it was beautiful. Just, oh yeah, I could forget about, you know, this thing that had been holding me down. You know, that's rude to call her a thing, but this thing that had been holding me down all day. And the burger just tasted so good. I still now can think about that blue cheeseburger. Funnily enough, actually, like after that, like on the like last 20 minutes before we were there, we started to like actually talk about. She's like, "Oh yeah, I just learned my niece is in the hospital, and I'm having a bad day for that reason." And it's like, well, you know what? Thank you for unleashing that on me. You know, to this day, am I there for the bad? You know, here's something I always struggle with because it's a real phrase. Hurt people, hurt people. It's a thing we do all the time. And one of the things I always think is like, does that make it justified though? Like, why do we feel more sorry for someone when we learn like, oh yeah, they did a terrible thing, but they had a bad upbringing, and it's like, or you know, they had something bad happen there. And it's like, yeah, I get, like, we should just be assuming that all the time if it's that humanizing. Because most of the time bad things happen to you. Most of the time, you know, something terrible happens with a stranger on the street. That stranger's having a terrible day, and, you know, like, we always assume the best of people that we like and the worst of people that we don't know. You know, when we do something bad, it's not because we're terrible people. It's because this bad thing has happened. Like, oh, she was justified to be mean and short and all these things to me all day because, you know, like, really when you think about it, you know, really when you think about it, her bad experience makes that justifiable. Not justifiable, right, but like excusable in some way. I always thought that to be like backwards reasoning, and I'm glad that happened, mostly just for the excuse of like, now I know. That could have taken me a lot longer to find out about. Actually, it's funny enough, we did go on a we went on another we did decide I didn't want to go on another date, but she was like, yeah, but we could play some Minecraft or something. She insisted on hosting the game, and I was like, fine, I don't mind that much. But then she like switched back and forth between survival, and she turned on host privileges, I think it's called, to fly back in the console days. And and then like turned on that, kept playing around stuff, and it's like, you know what? No. You're one of these half creative, half survival people, and that's why, to this day, I still have a grudge against it on YouTube. Now you know the origin story behind Toycat's evil. Yeah, no, I think that, like, I've definitely been on the other side of that, though, where, like, as a hurt person, you hurt someone, and you're like, no, and you know that it doesn't make it all okay. You know that it doesn't just, like, become fine afterwards. Just, you know, sometimes you are the monster. Sometimes you are the bad thing that other people warn about, you know? And you're like, nah, this isn't what you want to be. But that's why I think it's always worth learning from those experiences and thinking like, well, first of all, it's good that you don't want to be that way. But the only way that that's good is if you then take that lesson and you try not to be that way in the future. If something really bad happens to you, if you know, realize the thing you're feeling and try pretty hard not to feel that onto other people. One of the things about, I guess, this is like an upbringing based thing. Is so, you know, like I mentioned, my poke came and it was incorrect. The order was wrong. Also, I ordered avocado and they just gave me a little splat on the side and it was gross. You know, for my fourth favorite vegetable, let me tell you, the way they prepared it would not be in my top 20 list. But I have this like instinct of like, I don't want to complain about things. I don't know where it comes from. Supposedly it's a very British based value. Whereas whenever I go out to eat with Americans, they're like, yeah, this is terrible. Can you just take that back? And it's like, fine. And like, you know, like if you've been a waiter in America, a server, as you call it for some reason, it's like, yeah, they eat the food back there, so they're glad when people send it back, really. Which does sound pretty cool, truth be told. Like, oh, yeah, free food is a perk of the job. I'll send back food just for fun. You know, rather than tipping the waiter, why don't you just send back some really good food? But I think that, I guess you should also tip the waiter. Just to clarify, every time I talk about tipping, someone's like, but I bet you haven't heard this crazy fact that they get paid less than minimum wage. And so, you know, I bet you haven't heard that, Toycat. It's like, everyone's heard that. That's the first thing people hear when they hear that you've got a tip in America. It's like, because they get paid less. And even then, it's not true for every state. It's true for, like, half of them, but like there's like 100 million people who live in states where they get paid the same minimum wage as everyone else, and those same people tip the same amount, which tells me maybe just maybe that's not actually a part of it. Maybe just maybe tipping culture goes, well, Jesus, oh, I think I'm getting called from delivery. Oh, you know, let's take this. Hello. Okay, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the food that I ordered. Wow, that was also exceptionally quick. It said 20 to 40 minutes, and that was like less than... You know, good job, the boys in blue, Deliveroo. If you don't know, it's a British, Australian... No, it's an Australian company, but that's why they're called Deliveroo, I guess. It's kangaroos are Australian. You know, I only just put that together right now. I knew they were Australian. I knew that it was... I can't believe that I only just worked that out. Anyway, so Deliveroo is they wear blue. That's the joke. Just want to clarify. I'm not having my food delivered by police officers. Although I'm just saying, aren't police officers most of the time? Like 99% of the job of being a police officer is scaring people with your existence. Why don't we have them work like delivery routes or something to like make more use of their time? Because most of the time they just drive around in circles being like, is there crime here? No crime here, let's check the next place. But like if they were doing deliveries, we could have more, you know, I'm just saying we could double up police officers and delivery officers. Hit me up, Bureau of Labor. Sounds like a real place to me. Speaking of real places, do you know where I live? A fake place. But I want to just mention before anything else, before we lose today's video, if you want to see deep dive into knowledge, to go back to our original question of like, well, do you want to know things or do you want to be happy? I think this is why so many, like, you ever speak to like parents who have been have adult children? Like half of them are like adjusted people that are just like, it's hard work, but you do it. And half of them are like, well, here's the deal. You don't know why you shouldn't abuse children because you've never been a parent. Yeah, us parents, we know that sometimes abusing children is the best. It's like dumb stuff like that. Well, if you're not emotionally manipulating your children, you can't, you know, like try being a parent and understanding how it's done. And it's kind of brutal to see on one level, right? Also, I think I'm being called again. Feel bad now. See, you can have a tip for that, or can he? Da 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 da. Should we talk about tipping? You know what? I feel like we've gone 50 minutes without talking about tipping. I feel like I deserve a little segment. Tipping with Toycat. Ooh, should we do it? Should we do it? Is it exciting? No, I think that tipping is this like really fun thing when it's your choice. I feel this way about most things. Like when it's your choice to do something, it's great. When it stops being your choice, ooh, that's a little bit less fun. But the thing is, okay, okay, so that's my opinion in general, but it seems as though, okay, the world goes a different way to me. The way we actually get things done is not by giving people choices. And let me tell you why I believe that's true. Look at tipping in the UK versus tipping in America. In the UK, you're always guaranteed a certain wage for working in a restaurant. Tips genuinely are considered an extra that you get if you're an especially good waitress, or you just have a generous party. Or realistically, if you're in London, if you have Americans at your table, they're not going to look into how local cultures work and how tipping works. They're just going to tip the same. In fact, anywhere that is heavily touristed by Americans, it's just kind of expected that you tip. You know, like it becomes part of the culture too. One of the things Americans are good at exporting, by the way, not paying your employees the cost of their wage and expecting the people to do it. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to raise here is that in the UK, it is a bonus to tip. So you tip for exceptionally good service or pretty good service. You know, like you wouldn't tip for bad service, like most Americans I hear speak to do. But so here's the bite. Here's the angle. You would expect that because waiters in America, servers in America, are being forced to be good, you know, like, because they're being forced to do this and, like, they will not make their money if they're not good enough at their job, that they would be worse because they're being forced to. Whereas here, being a good waiter is just a way to make extra. You can be a bad waiter and it's fine, you know, like, that's what most of them are. But, like, you can also be a great one and you'd make more money. And so you'd expect the incentive would be on people who are doing it for fun, not being forced, would be better. But maybe it's the culture, maybe there's some other difference. The actuality is you actually see far better service in America where you rely on those tips and so you need them, and so having to need them means you'll do a better job. That shouldn't be true. That's not how I see the world. That's not the lens but apparently the lens I view the world through is wrong. Sometimes you realize stuff like that, and you realize, oh, things are more complex than taking one broad rule and applying it to life. You know, like, not trusting people is my instinct, but I also have to realize sometimes, like, yeah, you can't just never trust someone. So many parts of society are built on trusting the person you're with. It's just you have to know rules about when not to trust someone. If you trust everyone, that's just as dumb as not trusting anyone. You need to know exactly the situations where it is okay to have some trust, where it is not okay to have trust, and you've got to know when you're in a situation versus another situation. It's hard, it's a challenge, but I think that's the chat. I think that's what some of the fun is. Just like this podcast. It betrays you. Sometimes we make you wait. Sometimes it's a weekly series for 2 weeks at a time. And sometimes it's a yearly series where we miss. You know, we had a whole year to get this done, and we didn't. I'm saying we to, like, displace the blame for myself. But I'm sorry, the Toycat podcast was in February of this year. If you enjoyed this, I think it's fun to talk to a camera, shoot the stuff, do the thing. I think this is a lot of fun. It never does particularly well in views, though. So if you want to support this and you're like, I want to see more of these, consider becoming a member. That's where you can get access to all sorts of weird, exclusive videos, like a house tour of my current house, or me bathing in iron brew. Yeah, that's a real thing. There's real video of me in a bathtub full of iron brew. That was fun. I should do something like that again, huh? Would it be rude to do that in a hotel bathroom? You know what? Let's find out, shall we? But I hope you all enjoyed whatever this was, regardless. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, do all the other things in between. And I hope that I'm just don't do those things. If you liked the video, become a member. If you liked it but not enough to do that, then check out today's video sponsor, Andrew's channel. There's a video I uploaded recently about ATM fees. It's just 15 minutes of me looking at a Wikipedia page and going on ADD style tangents. And if you like that, if you like this, you might like that. I'm just kidding. If you like this, thank you for watching it all the way through. That is a real treat by itself. And yeah, if you want to see another one, I don't know what metric we can use to make that happen, but the next time I'm traveling for an extended period of time, perhaps we can do that too. Thank you very much. And actually, yeah, the Andrew channel is really great for stuff like this. I'll just put on a GoPro on my chest, talk for half an hour while I go somewhere. So if you like this, you might like that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. My chair's a creeper. It's cool, right?